Hello and welcome to part 2 of Myths and Misperceptions about organisational agility, an even shorter presentation by me. So look, today I'm going to just talk about one particular myth, and this is why it will be a much shorter presentation than the other ones. But this is an equally important myth that I feel needs to be covered because quite often it's a myth that's used by people in the industry to say Agile doesn't work, and that's a way of maybe making sure that we don't ever try it because it's failed in some places in the past and it might have failed for a whole bunch of reasons. So if we look down here about this version 1 to 2012 State of Agile report about all the reasons why people find that Agile wasn't working in the past. And again, this particular part of the report, I haven't seen one that's been later than 2012, because I was looking for it in the 2019 report, and this particular thing doesn't exist. But they do talk about challenges to making Agile work, which would imply that Agile does work. It's just that in some contexts it doesn't. So, and the old Dilbert cartoon up here again, as I'll reveal in a moment, it's not so much about what Agile is or what it isn't, but people's perceptions of what it is and what it isn't. The idea that Agile programming can mean that you're doing more work with fewer people, which is what every self-respecting manager from the Taylorist background would actually want to believe. So if we can have that, yes, we'll have more of that, please. Let's do Agile, so we don't have to spend so much money on the people side of things. So wait for it. Here comes my favourite little buzzer sound. So this idea that Agile doesn't work, well, let's just say that it's not that Agile itself doesn't work, but it's the people who don't make it work. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you think of it like this, organisations who are new to Agile, they will have run things in a very particular way in the past, something that we might call the command and control or hierarchical types of culture. And when you shift to doing things in an Agile way, people might have the misperception that Agile can just be done in the same old way that we've done things in the past. It's just a new process. Go and land a new process and on you go. They will all work hunky-dory. But actually, no, it doesn't work like that. There are a number of different things that we can talk about here about proving that it does work, and there's a whole bunch of reasons for adopting Agile and all the benefits and how you can measure success, etc., etc. But it's interesting looking at down in the bottom right-hand corner here, the challenges experienced adopting Agile and scaling Agile. And right at the top of the list, organisational culture at odds with the Agile culture. And that's 52% of the people who are saying that, look, there's impediments to doing Agile or being Agile in organisations, and the number one impediment by some stretch is the organisational culture. I say some stretch there, I find myself contradicting myself in my head there, saying, well, 48% is the next one, but that's not to say that that these two themselves wouldn't be part of the change. But it's interesting that the second one is general resistance to change, which I think is a fair shout, to be honest, because many organisations do experience resistance to change. It's a perfectly natural human response to resist change until we know that the change is going to benefit us in some ways. But then this takes me back to why this myth might come about in the first place, is if people see the myth or will believe the myth that Agile doesn't work, it's a good reason not to even explore or try it or experiment with it. And that in itself is a very anti-Agile mindset. And again, if we think about what we're meaning here about the culture getting in the way, it's exactly that will be getting in the way. The mindset of the leaders and the mindset of the managers. But sometimes it'll be the mindset of the troops as well, the teams on the front line the teams that are expecting to be agile or to do agile. And quite often those teams themselves might feel put upon, and they themselves might have experienced some bad experiences in the past in other organisations where agile has failed. And I know some organisations are on their 5th incarnation of doing agile, and they still haven't managed to make it work. But yet the overriding factor here is the fact that the agile process needs an agile culture in support of it in order to make it work. And if there was one thing, and I mean, if you were to look down this little list again here on the bottom right hand corner, you'll see next to the bottom is minimal collaboration and knowledge sharing. Now you see, that is absolutely huge. If you have an organisation that's anti-collaborative, and I've been in some organisations where collaboration is considered to be working with the enemy. We don't talk to those guys over there and they don't talk to us, or they might feel or think that business is putting upon them and saying we're going to be agile and we're going to do things in a better way. So people might feel that, well, this is an opportunity to stick our heels in and stick the 2 fingers up to people. And again, these are the very wrong reasons, to say that agile doesn't work. This in effect then is because people are maybe sabotaging the efforts. Because I can promise you one thing, that if you start to run agile in organisations, what that's actually going to do for you is it's actually going to reveal what your own organisation's impediments are. They will come to the surface pretty damn quick. And then the job of the leadership and the managers is to then go about fixing those things that are getting in the way, rather than saying, oh, well, this bloody agile thing, it don't work. Because that isn't true at all. Again, I'd go back to the initial statement here. It's the people who don't make it work. Maybe there's a lack of desire to want to make it work. Maybe it's a political statement with people playing games with each other in the organisation. And again, that's not a very particularly healthy way to run an organisation. But hey, if that's the culture and the prevailing culture, then I suspect agile won't work for your particular organisation. But that's not a blanket statement. It's not the fact that agile just doesn't work, so don't ever try it, which is what some people out there will have you believe. What ought to be said is the fact that it depends on your culture, and it depends on how much your culture is willing to change and has a desire to change in order to make it work. So, hopefully I've put that particular myth to bed for you. And I will share more myths and misconceptions in part 3. But I think what I might do in the meantime is start to talk more about what is agile, because sort of deviated off the point here a little bit. I mean, we've started talking about organisational agility. This was the set of myths that were supposed to cover that. And I know that today I'm talking about the agile process. And organisational agility is the culture that supports it. So I don't hear anybody ever saying that an agile culture doesn't work. What I might hear people saying is that the agile process doesn't work. So thank you for your time, and the book that I'll advertise at the end here, as you probably well know, is my book that I released last month in May. And it covers this one particular topic about making sure you have the agile culture in place before you start to land wholesale agile across the organisation. This gives you a way better chance of landing agile in a more effective fashion, rather than hoping just by running agile processes that things will work fine, because they won't. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon.